Hello, good evening, everyone. Hope you are having a great Friday so far and looking forward to the weekend. I'm really excited for the weekend, and I'm also excited to talk to one of my fellow authors who has graciously agreed to come with me on today's Instagram live session. I'm just waiting for her to join this session so I can add her here. Hello, Upasna. Thank you for joining. Let's wait for a few more people, and then I'll add my guest to the live and we can go ahead with the author collaborative. How is your Friday going so far, everyone? Let me know in the comments. My guest is here, so I'm just going to add her now. Hello, Nidhi. Hello, Dr. J. Hi.
Everyone. Hello, Manali. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Yes, doing good. Friday evening. Thank God tomorrow is Saturday.
Yes, I know TGIF, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So, how is your week been so far, and how are things there? Uh, the things are scary in India, as I'm listening to the news every day, and it's making me anxious from so far. Also, I'm just wondering how people are surviving there in such a condition.
Yeah, I know it's very, very severe. Too many cases, especially in Maharashtra and Bombay and Pune. Like we can hardly go out. We are kind of coping, right? Since the last year now, it's prolonged so much. Like people are literally fed up now of this, but
Yeah,
there's no sign of ending at all.
yeah. I mean, more than of course, there's the threat of the virus, but more than that, I think people are very emotionally disturbed also now. It's affecting their mental balance also. What do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, and the deaths are increasing so much more. Like last year, where there was a full lockdown, there were not many deaths, but this year, I mean, it's reached skyrocketed
Yeah,
number.
the second wave in India is really, really scary. And I mean, from what I have heard and seen on the news, they are saying that even the younger generation is getting affected by this second wave now.
Yes, yes. I mean, there's no age bar now, no gender, nothing. I mean, anybody and
Yeah,
everybody getting affected. And number of
yeah.
deaths in the age group are a lot. Like, yeah.
That's really scary. And actually, I think in such a period, I think reading is one of those activities which is keeping people positive. And I am actually glad that through our books and through our work we are able to provide some positivity at least.
Exactly, exactly. I mean, they are getting so much more time, right? But
Yeah.
you were asking about my weekend. I'm busy teaching, like because of COVID times, number of people wanting to learn English and everything has risen so much, and I'm busy almost 5, 6 hours a day teaching. So it's very hectic. Like my time on Instagram also has reduced quite a lot. I mean, uh,
But in a way, that's good actually, right? Because since you're occupied with work, you don't really get the time to ponder on the things which are so
complete.
negative around. Yeah,
Yes, yes. I hardly see even the news because it's so much of fear propaganda. Like every time it is only about COVID and only about COVID. So
yes.
it gets beyond a point. So
So, ma'am, actually, we are here for the author collaborative because we want to talk about your second book. And can you tell us a bit about it before I ask my questions for the session?
yeah, yes. For people who don't know me, I'm Dr. Jyuthica Laghate. I have published 4 books this year, out of which 2 are novels, fictional books, and 2 are academic books. So my latest book is titled "The Empty-Handed Altruist." So it's published in the month of March, and it's quite different from my first novel, which was Soul. So, Empty Handed Altruist, as the title suggests, it is about a very, very poor boy, like a street dweller, who sacrifices everything in order to create a life and future for his brother. So, through the title itself, I have tried to propagate the idea of giving without having anything. So, again,
Hmm.
a philosophical bent to the story, and at the same time the two brothers, their situations are very, very dire. They are merely surviving on the street. Their dad is an alcoholic, typical. Their
Hmm.
mother is struggling. So The elder brother, Manas, he goes through all these struggles, but make sure his younger brother goes to school, gets educated properly, then later on becomes an MBA and carves a nice future for himself. Whereas Manas joins the school, say around 5, 6 years later, and also he becomes an artist because of all
Hmm.
his experiences and everything. They are so deep and they are full of pain as well as pain mixed with joy. So, all that kind of leans him towards art, choosing arts and paintings. So, although it starts with a very realistic and a very dire kind of a scenario and backdrop, at the end of the day, it has a message of hope, and anybody can achieve pinnacles, if they put their heart and mind to it and to go through all that.
Yeah, actually, that's actually the takeaway from the book which I liked the most, because it sends out such a positive message that with education and hard work, it doesn't matter where you come from. You can become a better person or successful person if you are focused in your education and focused on what you want to achieve in life.
Yeah. And sometimes the stories of all these people who are lying on the street, they are so much more revolutionary, literally. I mean,
Yeah,
if they become,
they have seen the worst of it, right? So
yeah,
they have nothing to lose. They can only go upwards, right?
exactly, exactly. So that was the whole crux of the book.
So, based on my reading of the book, I have a few questions to ask you related to the book, and also, of course, because related to your writing journey so far. So, would you be willing to answer those questions
Yeah,
for me?
of course, my pleasure. Go ahead.
So, the first question I want to ask you is that, just a second, I have the questions here. You have already answered my first question, which was about your book. But can you tell us how it is different from your previous book?
Yeah. People who know about my previous book or who don't know, the book was titled Soul Seances. And the book was a different take on self help and self power. It was like the lead protagonist, she was talking to her own soul, and her soul was acting like a friend and a confidant, instead of looking for answers for all kinds of problems or even having a chat or, de stressing yourself. It was like a take
Hmm.
between one character, Jiva Sharma, but she's talking to her soul, so her soul becomes her alter ego or a second character. So that
Hmm.
book was completely different because there were some elements which were very hypothetical, which were more self-help, more spiritual
Hmm.
kind of fiction.
Hmm.
Whereas this book is very realistic, and it is about day-to-day issues and about so many stories. You see a lot of street children in metros, especially Pune, Bombay, and you wonder how they might be surviving, And so that seed really stayed very strong in me, and I was like, oh my god, there has to be some light at the end of this tunnel. So I
Yes,
enjoyed.
and that comes out in the story really well. And based on that, it's my next question. Is the story really fictional, or are there some elements of truth in it?
There are no elements of truth because there were no references as such, apart from the fact that I could see some street children on the stop or the signal or somewhere. But the thought, the empty handed altruist, I mean, I've always believed in giving, or I like people who give a lot
Hmm.
without being very selfish. I mean, that is something which completely is very motivating for me,
Hmm.
charity. Or giving. Giving can be in the form of tangible and intangible forms, like kindness
Correct.
and giving, or donating something to the needy can also be giving. So that thought was there in me for a long time. And
Hmm.
interestingly, there's a very, I can't say spooky, but a very different story to this. One day I just saw two palms like this in front of me. I was actually writing Soul Sciences Part 2 and I saw these two arms. And that's where the idea clicked. I'm like, I'm going to write on an empty. So it's
Wow.
a surreal experience. I mean, how I started doing empty handed, like, yes.
That's really inspiring. That while writing one book, you got the idea for the second one. And for whoever is listening to us, I would like to say that if you just continue writing, you will get more ideas. So the basic thing to follow is be consistent and continue to write. It's not a one-time thing. If you want to be a serious writer, you need to continue writing. Only then you'll be able to write more. Right?
Yes. As writer, you know that there are certain bouts where your creativity is at the peak. So
Yes.
you have to capitalize on those
Hmm.
bouts.
Correct, correct, correct. So, I want to ask the next question since you said that the book is completely fictional, but there is an element of it about it's very rags to riches kind of stories. So what I want to ask is that how can one make such a story which is so realistic, which is so fictional and yet so realistic, but how to make it believable?
Firstly, you have to be honest about the plot and about the characters.
Hmm.
And sometimes it's in Hindi, there's a very nice word for that, parakaya pravesh. You have to be in that character, you know, in
Hmm.
order to exactly get the reality on paper.
Hmm.
I mean, there's this scene in the book which is about the mother is delivering on the street, right? And where some rich ladies go apart and they are like, oh, thank God you saved us the shame, and they throw their shawl on the lady.
Hmm.
So, such instances, you have to go in that person's shoes, and that will get
Hmm.
the most realistic, the most bare material, which appeals to the audience.
Yes, yes, and the scene that you were talking about, I had goosebumps. I'm like, people are, including us. I think we pass by such scenarios every day, and we don't get affected that much. We have become so hardened by the realities of every day that we tend to ignore such things which are so struggle for others, and we just take life for granted in such moments, right?
Yeah, yes. And to make the story believable, you have to be with those characters for certain days.
Correct. Correct.
Understand full spectrum of those characters. I mean, it's not like an exercise. It's like you're thinking and thinking and thinking, and
Yes.
suddenly something flashes, which is like,
Yes.
oh, the whole sculpture of that character. So it's like that.
Yeah. Yes, very well explained, ma'am. Thank you so much. And so now I have read two of your books and I absolutely loved both the books. You can see it in my reviews also. But the question I want to ask now is your writing style I'm more or less familiar with now. So do we see something else coming out you from you as a writer? Are you trying going to experiment now with your more genres and more forms of writing?
Yeah, obviously, I mean, I have never written with a set formula, to be honest. When I did
Hmm.
Soul Sienna also, I had never ventured on the path of doing a spiritual fiction.
Hmm.
It was just a very experiential book, and I wanted to just put forth the idea. And when I
Hmm.
did the Empty Handed Altruist, again, it was somewhere out of the box because
Hmm.
nobody had expected me to come with such a kind of a novel after the first self-help genre,
Yes. Yes.
So to answer your
Hmm.
question, I mean, I am someone who experiments a lot. I mean,
Hmm.
sometimes I fall, sometimes I rise, but I take too many risks, even as a writer. I don't have a set pattern at all. As I told you last time also, like,
Yes, yes, you
what
don't. And actually, the
on my
two the books that I have read are completely different from each other. It's just that they have a certain tone to it, which
yeah,
as a reader, I know where it is coming from because I've read so much of your work now.
yes, yes. So that's
Okay,
interesting. That's interesting. What do you think my genre is like? I mean, I would like to have heard.
it's very inspiring, to be very honest. It's inspiring and motivating because what you write sends out a very positive message. There is a connotation behind what you write, I believe,
Yeah,
and there's a message with each line. At least I believe that whatever you are writing, there's a subconscious thought in your mind that it should leave out a message. That's what I get from your writing.
correct. My writing is not just about entertainment. I'm not that kind of a writer who can create very glossy stories or, you know, it has to have some moral. Like my
Yes.
personality completely gets reflected in what I write. Like as a teacher, I'm very moralistic. As a writer, I'm quite moralistic. Like,
Yes, so that comes out in your writing, and that's why I was saying that I'm very familiar with your writing now, and
yeah,
and I have understood the underlying message, and I know what you're trying to say.
yeah. The part about reviews were you write down the quotes and then it's a surprise package for me that oh my god, my book is filled with so many quotes. I didn't know that. Like you just pinpoint it so clearly.
I am glad because I know what effort goes behind writing a book, and it's just my way of saying to the author that whatever you wrote, I have understood and I have inculcated it in my
Yeah,
heart.
yeah. That's your best point as a reviewer, I feel. I mean, it's a different
Thank you. And in fact, actually, of many of the authors whose books I have reviewed, they have come back and told me thank you because, even we don't remember that we wrote that particular line and you have put it
Exactly,
out there, which means you have not just read it, you have actually enjoyed reading the book.
exactly, exactly. You are a bibliophile, I mean.
Yes. So, ma'am, my last question to you is that as a writer, do you think it is more advisable to, stick to a niche or, we should be more experimentative with our writing?
I mean, that question really depends upon how your work is commissioned also. Tomorrow,
Hmm.
if commissions your work and they expect a certain genre, a certain niche, a certain thing because it sells and it's more buoyant, and then probably you're constrained. But as an indie author, self-published
Hmm.
author, you have the freedom in the world to write about what you want. So I think you can grab that.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the most biggest boons of being an indie writer, right? You can experiment with your content without worrying about the outcome. And
Exactly.
as an indie author, I think we have all developed a pool of very loyal readers who are open to reading various types of writing that we put out.
Yes, completely, completely. So I feel that, um, like, I don't know about you, but at least I don't write about a niche. Like, I mean,
Hmm.
I don't have that in mind. I mean, then it would become very academic and very predictable, isn't it?
Yes, and also it becomes boring after a certain point to write
Exactly.
also, right?
Exactly.
It doesn't satisfy our creative mind, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. So now I leave the floor open to you if you have any questions for me.
I have a lot of questions for you. Firstly, what made you inspired to write Love Triangle? And I love the title, Try. So that's a good point for me. So, like, what was your
Uh,
inspiration?
Yes, so the thought process behind it was actually I have been meaning to put out a novel since the first book, and my first book is now 5 years old now. I think almost 5 years old. No, not five. 2018 it came out, so it's been quite a while. And as a writer, I have been meaning to push myself to write a novel since that day the first book came out, and my readers also expect me to write a novel because every time a reader puts out a review or asks me a question, one of the top questions I get asked is when do we see a full length novel coming out from you? So yeah, I was, it was like my duty to my readers who enjoyed reading my work.
Yeah.
And again, the situation has not improved in the past 1 year. I had time on my hands and I wanted to experiment more. That's how the book came out.
Right, right. So, what do you think the love story of Triangle is it different from the usual love stories?
Uh, in my writing, I try to put out a message and I try to portray a story which is a reflection of the society. I very consciously try to do that in all of my writings, whether
Right.
it's a fictional story or it's a non-fiction story.
Hmm.
And whoever reads Love Triangle will be able to feel that the story is not fiction because it's so real, and
Right.
also because it doesn't have a very conventional happy ending.
Yes, not at all. Yeah, and the Mumbai factor is so endearing in there. Like that. Very.
Yes.
Plus, for all your novels or your books, you have a very interesting way of incorporating images. So I really like that. Even for this book, the tiny pictures, they were very sweet. They lingered.
Yes.
I like that part.
So, as a writer, I at least conjure up that particular scene in my mind, and when that image comes in my head, there's a particular image that I want the readers also to feel, and that's how I put out the little images with each of the stories that I have done so far. In actually all my books, I have tried to make a pictorial representation of what I am trying to say.
Yes. So that adds that X factor to it. Adds that.
Yes,
That's something which I like. Okay.
thank you.
So my next question is, as a writer, have you found your niche and what is it like?
I don't think I have a niche because I write in so many formats and so many genres that I think I can write about anything now. As long as I have experienced it or I have read about it, I think I can write about just anything under the earth now.
Yeah, so there's nothing like niche. Niche is a very
No,
common term, I feel, which sometimes does not work a lot in writing, isn't it?
no, no. It doesn't. And I really believe it restricts our creativity.
Yes, even me, like completely. I mean, you just can't conceive the entire book A to Z. I mean, it has to change. There has to be certain
Yes.
trans. Good. So, if you get a second chance, would you change anything about this new book, Love Triangle?
When I was reading it after it came out, there was a certain point in the book where I felt, that Aisha is getting center seat. Yes, of course, she is the lead character. Out of the three, if I had to choose one, Aisha is the main character. But then I also felt that I did a little injustice to the two boys. I feel there should have been more about them too.
Yeah, yeah. That is the bit about your stories. Sometimes the reader feels, oh, there should be more. Like, oh, now. Yeah.
Especially Viren, because a few readers also messaged me that they wanted to know more about Viren because he's such an endearing character.
Yeah, he is. Yes, yes, definitely. And I love the quotes of all the characters in it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And then my final question, do you believe in writing stories with a moral or just entertainment?
No, uh, writing for entertainment has never been something I was very, inclined towards. Even as a reader, I pick out books which have a social message.
Right.
Not even if not a social message, there's a takeaway from it, which teaches me to be a better person. Whether it's fiction or non-fiction, it doesn't matter. I want to become a better person after reading the particular blog or particular book or whatever it is. So, and also consciously, I believe that as writers, it is our responsibility to make our readers understand the world a little more, make them feel like they have been helped by reading what we write. So, yeah,
Yeah,
I do believe that there has to be some message in your writing.
exactly, exactly. Good, good. I mean, my set of questions are over.
Okay, so let's begin our fun rapid fire session now.
Okay.
This time I have changed a little bit of the questions. So I
Mm-hmm.
think, yes. I want to know you a little better, so I have included questions related to your personal life also.
Right, right. Yeah. I like the questions actually. They were nice.
Okay, so my first question to you is the one thing that you are missing the most during this pandemic.
Social contact and contact
Yeah,
contacting students in person because I've been doing all kinds of online teaching only. So the kind of fun sometimes there is in an in-person classroom, sometimes that's not there on online. So I really
yeah,
miss
it
the
doesn't.
contact.
Of course, technology has made us made it easier for us to stay in contact, but there's no replacement for face-to-face interaction, I believe.
Exactly, exactly. That why still doesn't come sometimes.
Yes. Okay, so my next question is, what was your favorite subject in school and why?
I mean, in school, I actually liked all subjects, but my favorite was English and Sanskrit. These were two.
Language lover.
Yes, yes. Although I was and I was good in science, biology, everything, and but I
I
was
have
very
no doubt that you were a star student.
yeah, I was quite studious in school, and I used to be in the top three and everything. But yeah,
Oh, wow. No surprise there. My next question is, if you could spend a day in someone else's shoes, whose would they be and why?
this is the best question. I feel. I always had this dream to be a motivational speaker, and I
Hmm.
always had a dream that millions and millions should hear what I'm saying and kind of
Wow.
what my thoughts are. So I want to be in shoes of Gaur Gopal Das. He's my favorite. Like
Oh,
so charismatic and magnetic as a speaker, and he just leaves you spellbound. With
yeah.
difficult spiritual topics, also he has that art of making it so simple. So I would love to be in his shoes. That's what I see.
Nice. Interesting choice. Okay, so knowing what you know about life now, what is that one line advice you want to give to your 18-year-old self?
To my 18-year-old self, oh, fantastic! Don't procrastinate. Procrastination. That
Yeah, that's so
that age.
important. I think even my 32-year-old self, after 5 years, when I'm 32, 38 or 40, whatever, I would come back and say the same thing. Don't procrastinate, Manali. Write that book, write that blog.
I know you're constantly we are struggling against that. I mean, it's not
Yeah,
easy as a human being to get around that.
so very, very true. And my last rapid fire question to you. If you had to choose three adjectives to define yourself, what would they be?
It's, three adjectives to define myself: versatile, compassionate, and intuitive.
Oh, right. Yes, I agree. I have seen all these qualities in you, in your writing also, and while our interactions also. Very true.
Thank you for validating it. I mean,
Yes, ma'am. So now it's your turn to ask me the rapid fire questions.
yeah, your questions were nice. They had that
Thank
punch. Okay, now that was my questions. Um, what are the things that this pandemic has taught you? What are the positive things that this pandemic has taught you?
The topmost thing the pandemic has taught me that is that it was like looking in the mirror, and I realized how privileged and fortunate I am, because there are people struggling out there for a roof over their heads, for 3 square meals a day, people who are losing jobs, and I'm just grateful I have these three things which I can depend on, for every day. So that's the topmost thing that I have learned, to be grateful, about whatever I have, not on a silver platter per se, but I do have the access to things which many people do not currently have. And other thing that I have learned is, it's okay. Sometimes it's okay to not meet people. You go. Sometimes it's okay not to have the basic things. You just got to let go. Some things which I had thought would make me feel very heartbroken, or which I had thought would make survival difficult for me, were not that difficult to give up.
Yeah, exactly. You are tenacious. I mean, yeah, you
Yeah, so
can.
these are the two things that I have learned. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Question is, are you a fan of all kinds of art, and does that influence your writing?
Uh, Interesting. So the things that I love the most are movies and reading and cricket. So these three things are the things I write about the most. And besides that, I am not I'm not an artist. And frankly speaking, I don't understand art that much to be able to write about that. And of course, music also. I'm a music lover too. So these are the things that, as a uh, creative person, I like. Other than that, I don't follow any other forms of art per se.
Okay, but music is art, right?
Yes.
It's very
Music
common.
is art, writing, reading is also, I mean, writing is an art. So reading, obviously, as an appreciator of the art,
Yeah, yes, because I see that string in you. You're like the kind of blogs you write and everything. There's a certain musicality about it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay. So do you think shopping is therapeutic?
Depends on the kind of shopping. If you
Exactly.
ask me to shop for books, it's really therapeutic. But I am not somebody who enjoys, shopping for probably for shoes, probably, and or for clothes also that much. Uh,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, if there is a sale, it's very therapeutic. Yeah, if there is a sale and I have to shop for clothes, you leave me open and I'll be shopping for hours.
Yeah. Especially in COVID times, people are dying to go to the mall, especially in India, and shop. I mean, they haven't
Yeah,
been that.
I know. Oh my God, I miss shopping in a mall. Oh, where are those days gone? It's like that.
Exactly. The new normal is not very normal. Okay. The next question is, what is your most favorite tagline?
Oh my God, I am now recalling all the ads that I grew up watching. Uh, I'm not able to recall any at the moment, but I think that 90s era was such that you had so many beautiful ads, 30-second ads that, gave out so many taglines. Thanda
Yeah.
matlab Coca-Cola and all that. I'm just
Yeah.
able to recall those.
And it's good to tell any phrase or any proverb also. Even that can go as a tagline, isn't it?
So there's no Yeah, there's one that I live by. There's miles to go before I sleep. That's what I keep reminding myself every day, because I do feel believe that I have grown as a person, but there is a long way to go now.
Yeah, for everybody, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, last but not the least, what is your COVID resolution?
I have since things are a little better here than they are in India. They are better here in the Netherlands, and
Hmm.
we are able to go out over the weekends. I
Okay.
consciously try to be a more responsible traveler, because in the 1 year that I was home, I have seen that though this is like a coronavirus, and it's not anybody's fault. I don't believe it's anybody's fault, but we have seen the impact of global warming, and we have seen the impact of pollution. We have seen the impact of uh, what it can lead to if we just litter around without any bother of what it will lead to. So I have consciously become a very more responsible traveler and more responsible citizen, I believe.
Nice. That's a good resolution to have and stick to.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And this was
Yes.
so fun. I mean, I enjoyed answering those questions, the rapid fire ones actually. And I loved
Oh,
listening to your answers to my questions.
oh, thank you. Yeah, we had like set of questions. Your questions were nice. It's always fun interacting with your peers, and we kind of do this collaborative once in a while, and it's so refreshing, I feel. I mean,
It is.
very
And
few authors
the
take.
pandemic, I believe it's also, the best way to make up for what we are not able to do over the weekends, meeting socially or going out socially.
Yes, yes, and very few authors actually take such initiatives which you are taking, like to showcase authors locally, regionally, nationally. I mean, this is a good initiative, I feel. I mean, you're
Thank you.
talking.
Thank you so much. I only want to, get to know the creators behind what I'm reading. So that's my only intention, because I'm a very curious person and I want to know what went behind that making.
Yes, yes.
So
Actually,
thank you so much, ma'am.
you can
Sorry, you were
actually
saying.
create an interview series like this with all the authors. I mean, it's a very
Ah,
interesting. Yeah.
now you've given me another idea. I can actually do that.
Yeah. You're well
So
practiced
thank you.
now. You're a pro in that now, kind of. So,
Yeah, but actually, I lost my previous account, so now I'm trying to build up the author collaborative. A few episodes at least planning to build up again before I can do something else.
my God, but that's very unfortunate. You've worked so
I
hard for.
know. I mean, I had around, yeah, I had 24 episodes of the author collaborative, though they are available on YouTube, all of them. But
Yeah,
it's always better to have them on Instagram also, because that's where more the major chunk of the audience comes in.
it is there. Yes, true. Okay, nevertheless,
Yeah, yeah.
good luck.
I
It was
am
lovely
sure
catching up.
because this is such a good initiative, I'm sure I'll be able to find more and more authors to participate in it.
Yeah, definitely. Everyone wants that. Everyone wants
Yeah,
that recognition.
yes. So thank you again, ma'am. Have a great weekend and please take care of yourself. Things are really scary in India, so stay
Yeah,
safe.
yeah, definitely. Thanks a million for inviting me again. It was
Yeah,
lovely.
no.
Yes.
Same
Hope
here. Lovely interacting with you. The video will be on my IGTV and on my YouTube. So whoever has missed out on the conversation can go back and have a look. Thank you again, ma'am. Good
thank
night.
you so much. Good
Yeah.
night. Bye.
Good. Bye.